This week is the Miami P1, but in just a month, the first major of the season will be played in Doha, and I'm planning the opportunity for some of you to come with me to train there and watch the tournament together. Will anyone be up for it? Stay tuned or write me on Instagram to know more, because very few people will be able to come. A few months ago, if I have told you that Stupa Lebron will face Tolito Gonza Alfonso in a Premier Padel final, would you call me crazy? So well, that is exactly the final we got to see at the Cancun P2, the second tournament affected by the FIP Premier Padel PPA conflict. And this was the first time Tolito and Gonza Alfonso faced a top world pair. So what did they do? But beyond the Cancun final, this week the world's top 100 players are back in action in Miami. However, watch out, because there are new developments in the conflict and they could have really bad consequences. Hello everyone, I'm Pablo and I welcome you to a new 4Set. This is the second soft tournament of the season after Gijón, once again without the top 98 players in the world. Yes, 98, because in Cancun, Stupa and Lebron did show up the clear favorites to take the title. And on paper, the third best pair was Tolito and Gonza Alfonso, and they managed to reach the final. So subscribe to the channel if you also wanted to see a real battle between Tolito and Gonza and the best pairs in the world. Because for the first time ever, we were about to see Tolito and Gonza Alfonso take on one of the best duos in the world. And let's not forget that Tolito and Gonza dominated the A1 Tour last season as the number ones, but would there be a big difference against the third best Premier Padel pair? First, let's acknowledge the bold decision by Tolito and Gonza to give up their comfortable number one status in A1 to join Premier and start from scratch. But the reality is the final lasts just 53 minutes, with Stupa and Lebron already up 5-0 in the first set after 16 minutes. There was a clear difference in pace and speed between the two pairs. It felt like Stupa and Lebron were constantly finding gaps against Tolito and Gonza. Stupa and Lebron never looked uncomfortable, racking up 41 winners and 8 unforced errors compared to 23 and 15 from their opponents, a huge margin. At the end of the match, Stupa and Lebron said the following:
Veníamos a hacer nuestro trabajo con el Lobo, lo hicimos y estamos muy contentos de eso, así que nada, hoy disfrutaremos una buena cenita romántica con Juan.
Cuidado que mi novia se va a poner celosa de ti, o sea que ten cuidado. Nada, lo primero también quiero agradecerle a los rivales, a Leo y a Gonzalo, que son dos grandísimos jugadores. De verdad que el cariño que le tienen a los dos es algo increíble y la verdad que son dos jugadorazos de admirar. Darle la enhorabuena a los chicos.
Well, beyond the Cancun tournament, there have been major updates regarding the ongoing conflict between the players, Premier Padel and FIP. Even though we haven't heard many players speak out about the situation, Sancho Gutiérrez did. In an interview on the Now or Never podcast, Sancho shared his take on the conflict.
No estamos obligados a jugar los P2 por contrato, pero sí los P1 y los Major. Tampoco estamos obligados a jugar los FIP. Creo que el jugador merece, por el bien del deporte, ser un poquito más escuchado. Creo, es mi punto de vista. Ya no hablo de lo que piensa la PPA, de lo que piensa Premier, de lo que piensa la FIP, ni me quiero meter en ese terreno. A nivel particular yo podría decirte, mira, yo tengo 40 años, ponerle que me queden, no sé, 5 años como mucho. Podría ser fácil decir, mira, se peleen los otros, que el circuito va a ser de los jóvenes y no mío. Pero creo que para que las cosas funcionen tenés que estar del lado de tus compañeros de trabajo. Y mis compañeros de trabajo son los jugadores. Los 100 primeros jugadores del ranking no te jueguen un torneo, es la primera en la historia que pasa. Por un lado a mí me enorgullece porque creo que es la primera vez que están tan unidos los jugadores. Por otro lado me duele, sabiendo que es Gijón, pero creo que es una buena manera de reclamar un poco eso, el protagonismo del jugador profesional en todos los aspectos. O sea, que el circuito interactúe más con el jugador. Creo que el jugador es el que al final tiene mucha experiencia y que tal vez sabe, por antiguas cosas que han pasado, cómo se puede llegar a hacer de mejor manera el circuito.
Well, with the top 100 players missing from Gijón and Cancun, both the ranking and race have been significantly reshuffled. So if we look at the race, if the season ended right now, Stupa and Lebron would be number 1, with Cuello Tapia in 2nd place and Tolito Gonza Alfonso in 3rd. As for the rankings, some players have benefited greatly from competing, earning direct main drop spots without going through qualifiers. And who is the most important case? Well, Tolito and Gonza Alfonso, as they reached the final in both Gijón and Cancun. So thanks to these results, they skyrocketed over 55 spots in the ranking in just 2 tournaments. That is a historic achievement, also obviously influenced by the weird situation. Because at the end of the day, they were gaining points while their direct rivals were losing them for not playing. But Pablo, what's happening in recent days regarding the Premier Padel FIP and PPA conflict? Well, the situation is now more tense than ever. On March 10th, Premier Padel and FIP released a statement on social media announcing the following. Premier Padel, in agreement with the IPA, will keep the women's draw size unchanged, maintaining the approved 2025 format. For those who doesn't know, IPA is the Professional Padel Players Association for female players. So like in tennis, in padel, male and women are separate in their associations. Premier Padel is increasing the P2 women's prize pool by 10,000 euros and the IPA will cover hotel costs for all female players during the qualifiers. However, Premier Padel has agreed to the opposite for the men. Starting from the Santiago tournament, they will return to the 2024 draw sizes, one of the PPA's key demands. Premier Padel also announced immediate legal action against the PPA and players for any contract breaches from the 2022 agreements. Premier Padel has asked the FIP to initiate disciplinary proceedings against players who have violated their obligations. In this request, Premier Padel has provided evidence of an organized player boycott but has exempted Stupa and Lebron since they have participated in the Cancun P2. So on one hand, players face legal action from Premier Padel and on the other, disciplinary proceedings from the FIP. And what kind of sanctions could the FIP impose? Well, according to their disciplinary code, they could include fines between 3,000 and 30,000 euros, loss of ranking points or positions in the FIP official ranking, bans from entering stadiums for up to 5 years, and suspension from FIP tournaments from 2 to 5 years. Meanwhile, players have also taken action requesting that points earned in Cancun not count towards the ranking. They argue that their tournament's registration period was illegally extended twice, and in fact, during one of those extensions, both Stupa Lebron and Tolito Gonza Alfonso signed up. If the points do count, some players are considering taking the case to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, the highest judicial body in sports, so this issue is not going away anytime soon. If between the players, FIP and the Tour, they can agree of whether P2 events are mandatory or not, one thing is certain. P1 and major events definitely are. And this week we have the Miami P1, the first Premier Padel event in the US in Arturo Coello's new home. However, World Padel Tour already hosts 2 tournaments in Miami before. The first was in 2017, right on Miami Beach, where Paquito Sancho defeated Bela Lima in the final. The second was in 2022, where Coello won his first professional title with Bela. So Bela was a key player in both Miami events, and now in this one too, because he is the new tournament director. Just months ago, he was playing his final match in Milano, and now he's ensuring the Miami event is a success. So you probably know that Padel is growing fast in the US, and the city with the most courts is Miami, where depending on the club, a session to play Padel can cost between 80 and 120 per player. One big advantage for many players is that Miami's tournament is indoor. Do you remember the 2-day delay in Riyadh due to the rain? Well, there won't be any weather issues here, so we should expect fewer surprises. And the tournament draw is set as follows. With the bracket changes, remember that the top 4 seeds in the ranking now start directly in the round of 16. So in that round of 16, we could see 2 blockbuster matchups, Yanguas Nieto versus Livac Tello and Lebron Stupa versus Cardona Ausburger. In the quarterfinals, we might see a Chingalan versus Dineno Garrido or Cuello Tapia versus Paquito Bergamini showdown. Well, it's been a while since I made a bold prediction, so it's time to go all or nothing. Most likely based on momentum, we will see semifinals featuring Coyotapia vs Stupa, Lebron and Chingalan Coquillanguas. So seeing how strong Stupa Lebron are right now makes me hesitate, but I believe Arturo, playing in his new home, cannot afford to lose. So I see them make it to the final against Chingalan, which would be a rematch of what happened 2 months ago at the Reserve Cup, where Chingoto and Galan won. So who's going to take it this time? Well, finally the best paddle in the world is back, but this time in Miami. It is true that the situation remains concerning and it's unfortunate that there's still no resolution. We will see how it affects the players' performance and of course who comes out on top in Miami. Until then, thank you so much for watching the video, don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next one. Ciao!